Welcome back. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and I thought I'd bring you guys a news video before the game against Man United later this evening. Now for today's video, I'll be focusing on news surrounding Olivier Giroud, MILINKOVIC SAVIC interest in Timo Werner, and in Callum Wilson as well. So it's going to be a jam-packed video today, but before I get into anything, if you do like today's video, don't forget to smash the like button. Help me get over 2,000 likes for today's video. Now we start with the first story, and we need to talk about MILINKOVIC SAVIC. Now this story has been brought to you guys by the Daily Mail, and they're suggesting that Frank Lampard sees MILINKOVIC SAVIC as the heir to his throne, whatever that means. Now the Daily Mail state that we sent scouts to watch Lazio vs Celtic, where they could see MILINKOVIC SAVIC up close and personal. And as fans, we know that it's not the first time that we have been linked with a player. I think like last summer, it was reported that we'd entertained the possibility of signing the player for 150 million. But the Daily Mail report continues, and it suggests that Lazio are very happy to reduce the fee they'd want for the player, and it's reported that Lazio would accept bids of 52 million for the player. Now that the story's out the way, I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on how I feel about this story and what it could mean for the future. Okay, so let's be hypothetical. Let's pretend that MILINKOVIC SAVIC is the #1 target that we want for when the window opens next. His potential signing could carry a lot of implications, and the first implication is, what does this mean for the system? Because if you do sign MILINKOVIC, you need to play in a 3-man midfield. He is a box-to-box player. If you play him as a cam, or if you play him in a midfield too, you're not going to get the same out from the player because he has those attacking instincts. He likes to link up the play through balls, and he's very good aerially. And the second biggest implication is, what would this mean for Ruben Loftus-Cheek? Now, the reason why I say this is that Ruben is currently on the road to recovery, and if interest in MILINKOVIC was really serious, this would imply that he may be the alternative to Ruben going in the future. And, you know, that could imply that maybe the club having doubts about Ruben and his fitness, even though when he picked up his last injury, that wasn't nothing to do with his back. That was purely down to the pitch and obviously being fouled and getting his ankle busted up. From that perspective, it could be harsh because I think Ruben needs some time to get back in the team, and I still feel confident about that. But again, we're being hypothetical, so let's envision a future like this. This would imply that maybe the club are having doubts on whether Ruben can really keep up that fitness throughout his career. And if that was the case, then from a business point of view, you could understand why they'd look at MILINKOVIC as an alternative to Ruben in midfield. As I said, he is an interesting player. You know, he's the modern day box-to-box midfield player, similar to Ruben and Goretzka. As I mentioned, you know, he's very tall and he's very good aerially. And from set pieces, that seems to be an area in which we really struggle from. And if you're signing MILINKOVIC, immediately you're exponentially improving how we defend from set pieces. This is a player who plays in midfield that's regularly winning 3 to 4 headers a game. Most times you see those stats from defenders. But even though he has that power and he likes to play on the floor a lot too, Ruben for me is still the better player technically. Ruben's ability to drive the ball and carry the ball is much better than MILINKOVIC SAVIC's, and with Ruben, we've seen how it's benefited the team from a tactical perspective. We're not going to get that same incision or movement from MILINKOVIC SAVIC. However, so I can end with the first story before I continue on with others, this tells us the type of profile of player the club are potentially looking at. Now, we've been getting strong hints about what type of players Lampard is thinking to have in the squad for when the window opens next. Personally, you guys, I've heard that Lampard is a massive fan of Ruben. He's been a big fan of the player for so long. I personally don't believe the reports that Lampard is suggesting that MILINKOVIC is the heir to his throne. I think that's stuff thrown in by the journalists. Still though, you guys, we've seen this before. We know how football goes. Sometimes you can't predict what happens. Let's hope that Ruben gets back to full fitness and he keeps that fitness. That's the most important thing. And I guess until the club feel very confident that Ruben's injury history is going to be a thing of the past, I guess we're still going to be linked to players that could potentially replace him in that position. Now we move on to the second story for today, and that's in regards to Olivier Giroud. Now reports from France are suggesting that Lyon are currently the favourites to sign Olivier Giroud. And we know it's not the first time that Lyon have shown interest in the player. I think what keeps his market value really high is that he's a first team player for the France national team. He's one of the best target men in Europe. and he can still play that role to a very high standard. Now, Giroud's contract does expire next summer, and as Giroud said himself, I cannot settle for what I have in Chelsea. I have some beautiful years in front of me. I'm 33, but I still have legs. I have a profile that allows me, I think, to play a few more years in football. I feel good physically. I have a healthy lifestyle. I want to have fun and to play the most matches. My priority is to stay with the club, but if I'm forced to make a decision, I'll do it like I left Arsenal. I think the quotes sum him up. It sums up his professionalism as well. You know, if Giroud does leave, I don't think we should see him as a failure. He's been far from that. And as I've told you guys time and time again, he's been the only player that's really taken me by surprise. When we first signed him, I was very cynical towards the signing, but he has been a very good servant for the club. But the reality is, we don't need him. It's not because he isn't good enough or he's got worse, it's because we use a different style of forwards. We don't need a target man. We need more mobility in our strikers. So naturally, it means that we are going to transition away from using a target man style forwards. Still though, you guys, with Giroud looking very likely to leave us, with Mitchell's future being in doubt as well, it means that come the window being open next time, we'll need to sign strikers to be either back up to Tammy or compete for the first team spot with him. Now for the final reports for today's videos, I need to talk about interest in Timo Werner and Callum Wilson of Bournemouth. Now, I'm going to start with Timo Werner, and I'm going to tell you guys this straight away, immediately. The interest in the player is real. It's not fake, it's not being gassed up. I'm telling you guys, this interest is real. I've heard about this since September the 7th last month, and this was at the time where our transfer target list was released by Matt Law. He's been a player we've been scouting and monitoring for a while now, and you might be thinking why. And the main reasons are, Werner has the qualities to play as an advanced forward. What exactly is an advanced forward? That's a forward that is able to run the channels. They are required to be outlets out wide, run with the ball, and be involved in the transition phase. They also favour exploiting teams' defensive lines, regularly looking to make runs in behind. This is why Tammy suits the team right now. His skill set is an advanced forward, and it's no surprise why other players we'd be considering are going to be players to play that same role. Now, let me give my thoughts and opinions on Werner. Immediately, the thing I like about him is his flexibility. He can play down the left hand side, he can play on the right hand side, he can play with a striker, which maybe he's a bit better at doing, but also he can play by himself. And his goal output and his attacking output playing in these variety of positions is still relatively high. And it gets me thinking too, you know, it's not the first time that we have been linked with players that can play in a variety of positions. You know, for example, guys like Etal and Nathan Aki, they're players that can play in a variety of positions. And this could be useful going in the future. And this could imply that Lampard is thinking of using the squad more effectively. Lampard wants to bring through more youth, but he doesn't want to prevent them getting spots in the team. So an alternative could be to sign players that are able to play in a variety of positions, meaning that you don't have to sign 2-3 players. Instead, you sign one and he can do the role of many. Now for me, Werner is one of the best advanced forwards right now. He knows exactly how to use his pace to devastating effect. He's now able to produce assists, and he's dangerous to play against on the counter-attack. This is mostly due to Werner's incredible world-class acceleration. This is why it feels like he has more time to play with the ball when making that final ball decision. And that's because he's effectively creating that extra yard of space he needs, while the defender is still standing in a stationary position. And what I like about Werner, with his ability to play out wide, is that he can actually play as a winger. As I said, if it's looking like Mitchell and Giroud will be leaving, Werner could be a great replacement, a guy to compete with Tammy, a guy that has the flexibility to play in different positions as well, his pace, his ability to play out wide as well. You know, he's a very effective player. He's a guy that's going to be a mainstay in the German national team for years to come. And I think he's at the time in his career right now where he needs to step up and play for a bigger club. So if we went in for a serious bid for Timo Werner, I'm not going to be opposed to it. I think it could work, and I think he would complement what Lampard's doing with the club right now. Now, to end things with the final report, we need to talk about Callum Wilson of Bournemouth. And I'm going to say it straight, Callum Wilson is another advanced forward style of player. Wilson is a player that is able to run the channels, he leads the press and presses from the front, and he also would fit this system from a tactical point of view. But I know what everyone's thinking. Is Callum Wilson really the guy we need for the squad? Personally, I don't think so, but I'm trying to see things from the club's perspective and how scouts would see the player. Now, immediately, let's say we did sign Callum Wilson. He won't be signed as the first choice target. I think that's fairly obvious. If we did happen to sign him, it would imply that we miss out on our first, second, third, fourth, fifth, God knows how many. And I know I'm sounding a bit cynical in regards to Wilson, but for me, even though he does have good qualities, I'm thinking about the overall game of a striker. And it's stuff like this which I hold against Mitchie. You know, Mitchie's a fantastic finisher. He finds fantastic positions. But my thing is, his overall game, is it good enough? You know, times where he should be releasing the pass, is he doing that? No, he isn't. Times when he has to hold the ball, is he doing that? No, he isn't. And I think it's a similar case with Callum Wilson. You know, at times he's not the most clinical forward. He does need a multitude of chances before he scores. And we know that Lampard likes to have adaptability and flexibility in this team. If there's times where Wilson needs to hold the ball and put in a defensive shift, can he do it as well as Tammy? I don't think so. Yeah, I know that I'm sounding super cynical, but you know, Wilson does have qualities. We can't deny that. My thing is though, are those qualities going to be good enough for us? I'm not too sure, but at the same time, I'm willing to keep an open mind. I'm constantly doing that. I understand that the player has faced a lot of injuries since he's made the step up to the Premier League. So let's see how he does this season. So far he has 5 goals in 10 games. Not too bad, not too bad. But at the same time, you look at his player rating scores, they're not too great. But let's see how the season progresses. Let's say that, you know, as he plays more and finds that confidence, if he ends up getting maybe 18 to 20 goals at the end of the season, then he does become a lot more interesting as an option. But as I'm stressing, Wilson isn't going to be the first, second or third choice option. He's the guy that's part of the target list. Hopefully we get the guys we want ahead of him. But if worst came to worst, then I think that Wilson could be a decent player to keep for the short term. Still though, you guys, that's going to be me for today. Please like, comment and subscribe, and of course, give me your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. How do you feel about some of the players and the profile and style of the players that we're being linked with currently? Does it make you excited for next season? What type of players would you like to see that fit those stylistic roles? So I mean, if we want to sign an advanced forward, tell me what type of advanced forwards you would like us to see for next season. Anyway, I'm going to keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm MILINKOVIC, this is Blue Lions TV, signing out.